eyes will be on Albert Park in Melbourne today for the main event of the Australian Grand Prix.
To preview all the action, we're joined by hosts of the P1 podcast, Matt Gallagher and Tom Bellingham in the UK. I love these guys. Good to see you both. Let's start with Max Verstappen, Matt. No surprise he'll start in pole. He's won 19 out of his last 20 races. Somebody try and stop him.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much for having us on. Yes, Max Verstappen. We have to start with him because it seems everything starts and ends with Max Verstappen if you're talking about Formula One at the moment. 19 out of 20 victories. It looks like there's going to be another one on the cards. We were sort of baited into thinking that Ferrari might be able to get pole position around Australia this weekend. And then Max turned up and decided to crush all our hopes and dreams one more time. But hey, anything can still happen, right?
Yeah. Well, speaking of hopes and dreams, there's a couple of Aussies on the grid that, you know, we are most interested in today. Daniel Ricciardo starting from a disappointing 18th, Oscar Piastri in 5th, sorry. Can Oscar do it? I mean, who's looking better there?
Well, Daniel Ricciardo had a very difficult qualifying. He got his lap time deleted in Q1, which meant that he was knocked out and is starting at a very lowly position. Oscar, he's been promoted after Perez's penalty. He's up there with his teammate as well, Lando, up in 3rd. I think he's got a great opportunity, Oscar. If there's a little bit of chaos, we saw that last year. I think there was 3 red flags. So if we get anything like that, and a few tripping themselves over each other in the sort of first few positions, and maybe, just maybe, a podium could be on the cards. Oscar has been good this year so far. Saudi comes to mind as a really quiet but solid performance. So I genuinely think there is a slither of hope. Maybe we could see an Australian, probably not Daniel Ricciardo, but maybe Oscar Piastri on the podium.
Yeah, let's hope. Yeah, he's in 5th, not 6th. 5th because Sergio Perez impeded Nico Hulkenberg, so he goes down a couple of spots. But, Tom, let's bring you in here. Ricciardo, we were just talking about him. What are we thinking his career? I mean, are his best days behind him? I hate to say that, but he's starting 18th on the grid today.
It's the car.
Yeah, it's a big shame for Daniel Ricciardo. I mean, he's had a tough start to the year. He did do well when he came back to AlphaTauri last year, at the end of last year, put in a brilliant performance in Mexico. But yeah, he's kind of slipping back towards the kind of McLaren era Daniel Ricciardo, where he wasn't quite himself. And hopefully that's not a trend that will carry on. But unfortunately it did in qualifying, and another mistake that's left him way down the grid.
Do you blame the car or the driver? I'm always fascinated in these scenarios.
I mean, he's not in the best car, that's for sure. He'd much rather be in a Red Bull, and of course, but the problem for Daniel is his teammate has had a very good qualifying session and actually put it into Q3 and qualified 8th. So it's not looking great at the moment for him, but anything can happen at this track because it normally produces a bit of chaos.
Indeed, we like that. Nothing too serious, though. But let's get some predictions, Matt. The driver most likely to surprise us all today, do you think?
I mean, we've just been speaking about him. Yuki Tsunoda had a scintillating qualifying on Saturday. To put himself into Q3, when you have the top 5 teams looking very solid and ahead of the likes of RB, I want to see Yuki actually be able to develop a race where usually he runs quite well and then some strategy will go wrong and then he's 14th. And I feel like that happens far too often. So for me, I'd love to see Yuki actually score some points. Yeah. And also Alex Albon. So I'm going to go with more than one. I'd love to see that after the whole hoo-ha that happened with Logan Sargent. Alex is in the car, and for him to score a point would silence a lot of critics, I think.
OK, Tommy, then who will be the biggest flop today?
I think I'm going to say Mercedes. I think they've not had a very good start to the weekend. They look like they're struggling a lot with their car, and it is crazy to see such a dominant team of the past, and were so incredible, and they were doing what Max is doing now, and they're struggling to be anywhere near the front. It's not looking good for them at all.
Yeah, okay. All right, Max Verstappen, is he going to win it today? You're not allowed to say that, but he probably is, right, Tom?
I mean, it's very likely. He has, of course, won so many races in a row now. His form is absolutely unbelievable. But like Matt was saying, 3 red flags last year. This track punishes mistakes, and you get a lot of different things happening in the race. So we could be in for an exciting one, even if Max still ends up winning.
And is that your thoughts too, Matt? Max on top
Well,
of the
look,
podium.
I'm on Australian news, so look, I've got a mini helmet right next to me of Oscar Piastri's.
Yes.
So I'm just going to straight up say Oscar's going to win,
Yeah,
just to try and get a
yes.
few people on side. You know what I mean? Like, come on, let's live a little. You know, let's have a good race today.
Yeah, little beauty, the boy in his hometown, Oscar Piastri. Let's hope he can do it. Guys, thank you so much for being with us. Enjoy the race this afternoon, tonight, your time. And there they are. Matt and Tommy's P1 podcast is available to listen to now, wherever you get your podcasts. I love hearing those guys. They're such good value.
They sure are.
As Albert Park's gates officially open, thousands of F1 fans are racing to get the best view of their favourite driver. Live to Ayrton Woolley, who is there for us this morning. Ayrton, all eyes are on local-born Oscar Piastri today.
They certainly are, Sophie. Both Oscar Piastri and Dan Ricciardo driving this incredible support we've experienced so far this week. Record crowds on Thursday, Friday and again yesterday. The magical mark, the record race day crowd is 132,000. You might actually be able to hear some of the cars on the track behind me now. Piastri fans have been everywhere since the early hours of this morning. They do that so they can sprint towards the Melbourne Walk. That's why they can get up close with those drivers for photos and autographs. It's like the members run at the MCG or SCG on steroids. You can see some of that vision. As for Oscar Piastri, well, he's going to become the first Aussie to finish on the podium in some 40 years. So Oscar, obviously second time around for him, but how excited are you to see him today?
Oh, I can't wait. Obviously, last year, they've been really better since last year, and they're really dominating, so we're excited to see them, and hopefully they can get a podium.
And in terms of Oscar today, I mean, that's who you've come to support, I assume. How are you thinking he's going to go this afternoon?
I reckon he's going to go pretty well. He's going to try really hard because it's his home crowd. Yeah, also here rooting for Lando as well, starting from P3, but they're going to push.
So Piastri will start from 5th on the grid, Dan Ricciardo 18th. It's Max Verstappen on pole for the Australian Grand Prix. Sophie?
And they will have the whole of Australia rooting for them. Ayrton, thank you. Well, all eyes are on Australia's Formula One stars as they get set to battle it out at Albert Park today. Live to Ayrton Woolley, who is there for us this morning. Ayrton, they're expecting another record-breaking crowd.
We certainly are in a sea of orange too, belonging to McLaren. That is the team of Oscar Piastri, the hometown hero. His second Australian Grand Prix, finished 8th last year. He's gunning now to become the first Aussie to sit on the podium officially in some 40 years. He finished 5th in qualifying yesterday, a result he was largely content with. You can tell he's really hungry to make his mark here in Melbourne.
Yeah, excited. It's been a good weekend so far. Had a good day yesterday in practice, and I feel like we've got some good momentum. So we'll see what we can do. But yeah, pretty good.
Now, in terms of those other qualifying results, Daniel Ricciardo will start from 18th, Max Verstappen on pole. And in terms of the crowds, by this afternoon, we're expecting 500,000 fans will have been through the gates for the week. Record crowds on Thursday, Friday, and again yesterday. The magical record mark for race day is 132,000. Capacity is around 135, so still a little wiggle room if everyone turns up to make a new mark today.
Every year it gets bigger and better. Ayrton, thank you.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my goodness, Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?